Shalom.
Shalom.
And welcome to another new moon, new month that Yahweh has given unto us. Not only is this our new moon, but it is also, of course, our new year. This is the beginning of our months, and we are going to just go over a few things so that we are very familiar with how these things go. We will spend more of our time enjoying our celebration, and we're going to do reading on tonight. But we have to understand certain aspects because we have people that are teaching that the full moon is the new moon, and these are fairly new teachings. But because these people have congregations spread all throughout the country, people are funny. We are creatures of habit, and we have a tendency to give validity to things that we hear the most. So if we hear a lie 5 times, we will believe and think that it has some kind of value in it. Hold on. Brother, let Kish get that seat right there. We will believe that it has some kind of validity just based on the number of times that we've heard it. The adversary is aware of that, and he uses those things against us. So he makes sure that his ministers will be the first ones that will get to us. He's going to make sure that we're going to hear his ministers 4 or 5 times before we hear this truth. So by the time we hear this truth, we're already poisoned against it, and we're going to question the truth, because we automatically believe that lie has validity because we've already heard that lie 5 times. But what we've heard is 5 separate accounts of people who have agreed to tell the same lie together. Let's begin tonight in Genesis chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 11 through 14.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. And Elohim said, Let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 3rd day. And Elohim said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and years.
Now this has given us our breakdown of how we are to add up our time. Believe it or not, you will have we have Hebrews that are really trying to throw us off. They come with this flat world doctrine, talking about that the earth is flat, and before you know it, you will end up in a debate with these people, and they will try to take up your whole day dealing with some kind of flat world mess. And at the end of the day, what do you accomplish at the end of your flat world theory? But it makes no sense when you start dealing with what this means at verse 14. Yahweh knows that as he's setting forth these things, especially in the beginning, there's a certain amount of things that man just doesn't understand. Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. For it to be daytime on one part of the earth and nighttime on the other part of the earth, either the earth turned over or something had to happen. How is it the opposite on each side? So the earth just keep flipping, the flat world somebody just keep throwing it like a flapjack and flipping it over, but somehow we don't feel the flapjack flip every day. Because as it's dark where we are, it's light somewhere else. But see, the adversary, the devil, don't care who or what he has to use to get you to come away from Yahweh. It doesn't matter what. So when you talk about to divide the day from the night, when we deal with the rotation of the earth, we have rotating either facing or away from the sun. That easily gives us our day and our night. When we talk about for days and for seasons and for years, we have that same earth that then orbits the sun, and then we have its orbiting moon that deals with the month. So all of this orbit, we have the turning dealing with the day, the orbit dealing with the month. This is why you see these different phases of the moon. As it is orbiting, that sun is hitting it in a different way, so that light is shining on it in a different way. And it goes through the same pattern every 29 and a half days. It's the very same thing. Yahweh is an Elohim of order. So these same things are going to happen, even dealing with the year. You have people who have, I'm hearing, who've already had their Passover. Yet, we're just now dealing with a new year. So, how have you already had a Passover? And see, what ends up happening is you're going to get more and more off dealing with these things. And it said, this is the part that people don't take into consideration. It says, let them be for and for seasons and for days and for years. So what people like to do is deal with just the moon, so they count 12 new moons and make the next one the beginning of the year. And that's not going to work. That's how the people deal with Ramadan, which is a holiday in Islam. And you'll find that it goes throughout all of the seasons of the year. One year it'll be in this season, next year, because it keeps moving. You can't keep going by the moon alone. He said them, not it. So we leave out a whole part of the equation and then wonder why the equation is busted. So then you got, a whole nother group of Hebrews who follow the Enoch calendar, and which is convoluted. But Lucifer doesn't care who or what he uses. So he's going to continue to do what he does. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. All he's going to do is find a new way to implement the same old tricks. And in the garden, how did he seduce the woman? With knowledge. So if you eat from this tree, you're going to know some things. You're going to be like a god. So with just the thought of having some knowledge that's supposed to be exotic, we ended up getting cut off from our Elohim. Exodus chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 and 2.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So this month shall be the beginning of months. So this is where your year is supposed to start. Go to verse 3. Keep reading that.
Okay. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house.
So then we already see the month in which we do the Passover is supposed to be the beginning of the months. So once you read the things in verses 1 and 2, and then you get to 3, then you understand what month he's discussing. So having this New Year's celebration that, of course, we were given in January, we know that that is to celebrate and worship the pagan god Janus. That's where January gets its name. And this is why, because he is the one who looks into the past and the future, that's why we had to go to church at midnight. It's the only other time that they ever had midnight church service. There's no other time where the church would have been open at midnight. But you got to worship the two-headed god Janus at midnight. Because only at that point can you do the ritual of looking behind you and in front of you. And they even talked us through the Mark ritual when we was there. If any of you know, you have to ask yourself, why did they call it watch night service? What were you watching for? But these were things that we were taught in the church. And they with going through the whole ritual, they would turn you around, make you look at the back of the church, count down, just like all the other people in the party is counting down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Then they said, now turn around and look at your new year. And here it is, not knowing that. We worship straight paganism, and the church taught it to us. We didn't learn that from no thugs in the street. We didn't learn that from no pimps or prostitutes on the block. We learned that from the pastor. First time I ever heard that, a pastor did that. I didn't learn that from nobody else. And they did the same thing over and over. And you got to ask yourself, if the pastor didn't get it out this book, where did he get that ritual from? Now, question number 2. How did every church have the same ritual, though it didn't come out this book? So what unknown meeting did they go to where they all got this ritual, but ain't none of us heard of it? What kind of demonic pastor meeting they had? Because all the churches have the same little demonic thing, yet we were all sitting in the pews and had never heard of it. So all them hear of it. But it ain't in this book. Something ain't right. Something ain't quite right. Let's go to Exodus chapter 13, and let's start that at verse 1.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moshe said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength by strength of the hand of Yahweh brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in this day came ye out on the month Abib.
In the month Abib, this is the name of this first month. So we find in Exodus 12 where we were given that this was the beginning of months. Then we get a name for this month. And when you look that up in Strong's, it means to be tender green, that is young ear of grain. So we see that Yahweh has an order, and we know in January absolutely nothing is growing. So how can that have ever been the beginning of anything? That cannot be the beginning of anything that we are supposed to observe. Now, we're always going to run into some, especially with the people who are dealing with that Enoch calendar. They are going to be completely against anything regarding the new moon, you will find, and it's very interesting, that most of the Jewish don't know anything about a new moon. But it's funny. All their priests have to know because they have to count the holy days. Yet, if you walk up to a regular person that's supposed to be Jewish and start talking about the new moon, over 50% of them just look at you like, well, what is that? And it is amazing how you not know what that is. But it's another one of those things that we keep looking to the people who have taken over our culture to validate us in the things that they do. Then we want to pick up those things as well. They have all of these stories for, various holy days, stories and rituals that, of course, you cannot find in this book. They are man-made. They are man-written accounts of some fictitious things. Let's go to Psalms 81. Now, when we deal with this orbit and the rotation, we know that it takes 27.3 days for this whole cycle of the moon to take place, but we know that the Earth itself is on its own orbit, moving around the sun. So it takes another 2 days or so for it to get back to its relative position. This is what gives us our 29.5 days to return to that same point. This is how we get our month. Yahweh is an Elohim of order. I have encountered people that said that there's no such thing as a new moon. When we deal with what is written in Strong's, Yareach is the moon. That's Strong's 3394. And then Kodesh is, when you look at this definition, it says the new moon, by implication, a month. So if you deal with this month and new moon, you have that these things are and do coincide. Psalms, what did I tell you to do?
Psalms 81.
All right, Psalms 81, and let's start that at verse 1.
Sing aloud unto Elohim our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the Elohim of Jacob. Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day.
Now, it is amazing that, we have people who will take various things that are written and try to make you believe that it means something altogether different. When you blowing this trumpet or this shofar, the trumpet gathers the children of Israel. This is why before we begin anything, the shofar is blown and we gather at the sound of that shofar. We go to war at the sound of that shofar. So what people don't understand, we're not just doing some things just to be doing it. This horn blowing has significance. Now, just understanding that, how we deal with things and how we get accustomed to seeing certain things, I was watching a video from one of those same congregations that believe brother had sent the video to me, where they believe that the new moon is the full moon, and the brother had a kadu horn sitting on the table and referenced it, talking about it was a ram's horn. And when people see that and they keep hearing that, oh, these people got 200,000 views, they must be right. So he's sitting, it's like me sitting there telling you, I'm looking at this Chevy Nova and I tell somebody that's a Bentley. Now if there's some China dude who don't know no better, they be like, well, Sock said that's a Bentley. And once they get around somebody who know, boy, somebody that made a big fool out of you, that's a Chevy Nova, brother. That is not a Bentley. But if you don't know no better, and then if you keep saying, and other people under you, and you keep telling them to say the same thing, you gotta, it is going to be just something simple like that. When you encounter these people, there are thousands upon thousands of people who believe that horn that's this big is a ram's horn. That is going to be one twisted looking ram. People don't stop to a picture like, okay, well, put that horn on the ram and let's see what it looked like. Man, other animals ain't going to want to be near that. Hey, man, something wrong with that right there. They ain't going to want to deal with it. When we went to that safari and they had a liger. They had done made a lion and a tiger. It had to be by itself. Don't know other animal want to be around there. Be like, man, what the hell are you, man? Man, you ain't no lion. You ain't no tiger. We gonna kill you, bro. Ain't no doubt about it. We gonna kill you. You an abomination. That was you. We don't know what are you? And they had to make the thing in a test tube or whatever to even put the thing together. It can't be around that now. It ain't gonna be able to survive around that now. And they taking us through. We going through the safari. We looking at all the little animals. Everybody. The kids was like cool with the animals as long as they was far. But then when they got close, Gabby was like, oh, saying all the kids, they like, look at that giraffe. Then the giraffe came and was like, ah, they was like, get that thing away from me. You ain't have to worry about nobody going near that liger thing. It didn't even want to look at nobody. It didn't want to do nothing. It know it wasn't supposed to be made. Go ahead, bro.
I was just going to say, then you combine two animals that are natural enemies out in their own natural habitat.
So you have to wonder, is the thing just want to fight itself? It just sit there all day, you know what I'm saying? It just want to fight itself. And let me tell you something, that's a serious altercation when you got a problem with yourself. When you want to fight that dude in the mirror, you got a serious problem. And that is a serious issue. But once again, this is the kind of wickedness that we don't even sit down to really think about, that is going to have to be rectified in a righteous kingdom. There are certain things that the whole setup of it is completely wicked. And if it keeps going on, it's going to be a problem. I mean, even with the clean and unclean, with there being the catfish, the shellfish, the shrimp, and the crab legs, you got all of these things that are supposed to clean the ocean, but then you got people out here selling them as delicacies, and people paying top dollar to go and eat the stuff that eat the poop out the ocean. So they're getting exotic poop. And if you give it a new name, people will pay top dollar for it. This is poopy. Oh, poopy. Oh. Man, that doo-doo, bro. That doo-doo. But people will pay top dollar for that. And now they're not only causing a problem, with the stuff that they're eating, they're causing a problem with the other things that are supposed to be in the ocean, because now the ocean is not cleansing itself. So now the clean fish are swimming through all the foul things. Yahweh makes this pig to be able to eat anything and clean off fields to just, a pig will make sure you have to consider animals and things are going to die. So how Yahweh, did he just make a man that, and just say, what, he got a priesthood, so maybe he got a garbage hood too. It's just a bunch of dudes that just go and pick up garbage. No. He got animals that don't do nothing but eat nothing but dead stuff. That's all they do. Is just fly around and look for something dead. Boom. Automatically cleansing the earth. So you got the fowl that fly around and eat anything dead, then you got this nasty, filthy pig that'll eat trash, animals, anything. Then people start eating it. So they're eating all of the poison that thing has been made to be able to absorb. The pig was constructed so that poison don't bother it. But poison gonna bother you, because you weren't supposed to eat poison. But because it slowly kills us off, we think that it's all right. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 66. And some have even put out there that they have, a kosher pig now. And of course, in Christianity, we know that every last one of the holidays is topped off with some form of pig. Christmas, you got your Christmas ham, you got your your Easter ham. Everything has got pig in it. But then when you go back and read this Apocrypha, you find out that the Euro Gentiles were trying to bring those pigs in even then. So it was something that was dear to their God, and now we have accepted these things as though they mean something to us. Isaiah chapter 66, and let's start that at verse 22.
For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make.
So this is future tense. This is not something that has taken place. Go ahead.
Shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh.
Right. So the new moon, even in the future kingdom, is going to be still in effect, and the Sabbath is still in effect. Yet you have people right now that believe that the Sabbath is not valid. But we can go right back to that same Apocrypha, and we can see where the Euro Gentiles attacked the Sabbath as well. Came in and told our people it is no longer legal for you to keep the Sabbath. And now the way they do it is by mind games. See, if you go to keep the Sabbath, they try to play a mind game with you and try to make you, because they're not going to come and say that it's illegal, but they got to play some kind of mind game with you to make you have some kind of low self-esteem, if they can, about you keeping it. See, that's how the game works. Go ahead.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. And they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
Right. So then we can clearly see that this is not something that has happened, something that has taken place. And we still looking at where it says that I will make. So we know that there's a future tense into this, and we still see the Sabbath, and we still see the new moon. So we have to deal with that somebody has truly went through great lengths to miseducate us. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 46. Once again, we're looking at future tense. Ezekiel chapter 46, and let's start that at verse 1.
Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening.
And what we have to understand here is that, and how we are able to not really grasp the concept of these sacrifices being brought back. The Messiah is not going to die again. He's not going to keep dying for every sin that man commits. So when people say that the priesthood and the law was put away, what they fail to realize is he says, Yeshua says, I came to fulfill the things that were written concerning me, which was sacrifice. He sacrificed himself. So that animal sacrifice was set aside for a time, not done away with. Done away with is the wrong word. Set aside for a time. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before Yahweh in the Sabbaths and in the new moons. And the burnt offering that the prince shall offer unto Yahweh in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. And the meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the meat offering for the lambs, as he shall be able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And in the day of the new moon it shall be a young bullock without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram, they shall be without blemish. And he shall prepare a meat offering, an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and for the lambs according as his hand shall attain unto.
All right, let's go to Amos chapter 8. When we get right down to it, there's so many things that we had just never heard of until we got into this word. Before coming into this word, I'd never heard, of course, of a new moon. Even in reading the New Testament, I had never seen any foot washing or anything like that. I hadn't encountered anything like that, because it seems like people were more interested in the things that were going to bring money. Amos chapter 8, and let's start at verse 4.
Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit?
Right. We know that a new moon is not a Sabbath per se, but if you have everybody gathered together, then can't nobody be at your store. Can't nobody be at the place where you trying to make money. So then you have Israel wanting to join on to the ways of the nations. So of course we want to hurry up and push those things along so they can get back to making money. Let's go to Colossians chapter 2. Colossians chapter 2. Let's start at verse 8.
Beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after the Mashiach.
Now, this is easily taken out of context, because do understand that the apostle Saul is the apostle to the Euro Gentiles. So he's teaching people who were not given any law except but a few observances. When it comes down to certain things, they were not given that. They are called to uncircumcision because they were not given the covenant of circumcision. And thus they don't have to do that. So when they starts talking about this, now do understand, they already had their own traditions though. They already had their own worship practices where they were. This is how people then take this and then use that to say that Saul is speaking against the Old Testament. Yet when we go into Acts, when you read that they were questioning him about, are you out teaching these people against the law? And he's, no, man, I've not taught, the children of Israel who are scattered among the Gentiles. I have not taught them against the law. So he said to make sure that, so that the people may know that you're not that kind of person, go and shave your head, which is the accomplishing of a vow. Go and do all of those things with the rest of these brothers who are accomplishing their vow, so that the people may know that the things that they speak about you are not true. So you automatically see two different paths. There was a path for the children of Israel, and then there's a path for the Euro Gentile. How we have gotten so twisted is we have allowed the Euro Gentiles to merge that path and make it one. So you got to understand what that means. If he merges his path with your path, that means he has the ability to make it while you get cut off. You need to consider how slick that is before you think it's just something that just, kind of happened to be done. No. You need to understand. You can walk exactly the same way as he walked, and you get thrown in the lake of fire, and he walks into the kingdom. It's pretty slick. Keep reading.
For in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Elohim head bodily. And ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, in putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of the Mashiach.
Right. So the Mashiach was circumcised because, of course, he was a Hebrew Israelite. This is something that he had to accomplish. Just like when it talks about that baptism, Yohanan the Baptist didn't even want to baptize him. He said, man, it behooves us, brother, we must fulfill all righteousness. This baptism must be done. Yet, you got congregations spread all across the country that are telling you that there's no such thing as baptism. And I thought that was elementary 101. I thought that was the easiest concept to understand. Baptism. I didn't think we'd have to teach anything on baptism. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. Buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of Elohim, who hath raised him from the dead.
Buried with him in baptism, but yet you don't believe that you should get one. But you see how people can twist this word? Now you have a bunch of young brothers who have zeal about this word, but they have not even been born yet. They have never took the step. He says, I am the door. If you don't come through this, the only person that enters the house and don't come to the door is a thief. If somebody crawled through a window, there's a reason why they crawl through one. Why you just come through the door? Because he's a thief. These young brothers have been taught to bypass the door. That's a problem. Go ahead.
And you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, hath he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses, blotting out the handwriting of the ordinances that was against us.
Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances. Well, people then say, well, see, he nailed the whole law to his cross, not understanding that there is three different areas of this law. We have the dietary law, the sacrificial law, and then the moral law. We read what Yeshua said, and he's quoting all the things of the moral law. Now, wait a minute. How is that possible? I thought he nailed the law to the cross. Why would he be turned around mentioning the law? Why would he be turned around and dealing with all of these things? And even this very same people that tell you that it's not a law, take something of theirs and see how they feel about it. They want to call it a law. But I thought you said it wasn't no law. So why you ready to call them? Right. Hypocrisy. Go ahead.
Which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross.
So if we got blotting out the handwriting of ordinances, what people have to learn is the difference between an ordinance and a law. When you deal with the ordinances, these are the things that explain to you how to do these other parts, where it says, okay, you got the sacrifice. All right. But how you do that? Okay, well then we got to give you ordinances to tell you how you do that over there. Go ahead.
And having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days.
Right. And we all know of the slick soothsayer that we've heard reading this one verse and then taking off and running. Just reading that out of the New Testament, reading bits and pieces. That people hear that and say, well, we don't have to worry about the Sabbath. We don't have to worry about the new moon. And we don't have to worry about any of these so-called holidays or holy days. We ain't got to worry about none of those. Because, of course, he stopped right there. Read the next line.
Verse 17. Which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of the Mashiach.
Which are a shadow of things to come. When we read Zechariah and we find out that every nation is going to be made to come up and keep this Feast of Tabernacles. And all those that don't come, they're going to not receive any rain. And if they don't come after they don't receive any rain, they're going to receive plagues after that. You can't just up the Feast of Tabernacles as the last of the feast. You can't keep the Feast of Tabernacles without starting with the Passover. It begins with the Passover. It's 7 holy feast days. You can't just jump to Tabernacles and say, all right, well, they got to keep Tabernacles. They ain't going to know when Tabernacles is. You have to start, and Yahweh shows us when to start, and this is our beginning, and that's all that we're going to do for tonight. Enjoy your new moon. Enjoy your new year. Shalom.
Shalom.